vibration that is without resistance must lead to pleasing thoughts. So if the root of the thought that you're thinking now is a vibration with non-resistance, then you're off on a really good foot. Did you follow that? Therefore, if you have meditated into non-resistance, and now there's a vibration that's not discernible. In other words, you can't think vibrations until they get some momentum going. So when you meditate, you allow enough momentum of the vibration to get going that you allow that vibration to turn to a thought. Did you see how that went? You didn't pick up some thought that somebody else had been thinking about that was maybe off course or on course. In other words, you weren't influenced by another thought through conversation, sort of like what's going on here. You allowed the very depth of who you are, the very source of who you are, the very soul of who you are, the very love of who you are, because you meditated and quieted your thought, you allowed that vibration to come into focus. So when the thought came, it felt satisfying. And if you liked it, and if you know that you liked it, and if you're also acknowledging that you allowed that pure thought to occur to you, you were ready to be ready to be ready to be ready. And why were you ready for the thought? Because you quieted your mind. You quieted your mind so you were ready for alignment. Because you were ready for alignment, now you're ready for that vibration to turn to a thought. Ooh, this is how thoughts turn to things. But you're doing it on purpose. You allowed that vibration to turn to a thought. Now, in the beginning, that vibration may turn to a thought, and right on top of that thought are going to be thoughts that don't feel so good when you think them. Just say to yourself, I'll get better and better and better at this. But in time, you'll be able to quiet your mind. You don't even have to go into a meditative trance. You'll just be able to hold yourself in that place where you center yourself. It's like starting at the beginning. It's like building a foundation of a skyscraper that's not stable, and no matter how much you try to stabilize it as you get it up there, in other words, you're trying to retrofit it and make it better and better, if the foundation is not stable, it's going to topple over in a little while. And the foundation of everything that you're about is your connection to source energy. And meditation is the path to that. And so, thoughts turning to things, thoughts turning to things, thoughts turning to things, thoughts turning to things. Before thoughts turn to things, vibrations must turn to thoughts. So how are you going to get a good basic thought? How are you going to start with a really good thought? Start with vibration. Start with no thought. And do it every day. And feel the satisfying qualities of it. Feel it. Feel what it feels like to have non-thought. Feel what it feels like to feel your body sort of swooning in this energy of well-being. And there's not a thought in your mind that you can feel. You can just feel well-being. It's not thought. You're not thinking about anything. You're not thinking about your body. You're just feeling the satisfaction of this non-thought. And as you allow yourself to stay there long enough, that non-thought, that vibration that now is being allowed by you to gain positive momentum because you're not crippling it with a contradictory thought, now it gets enough momentum that you think a thought, a satisfying thought. A satisfying thought. Sometimes that satisfying thought bursts into your mind and you feel like impulsively doing something about it. That's okay, do it. You'll feel more and more of that as you allow this. But so many of you start with a problem. A thought about a problem. A thought about a problem to which you want a solution. But in the activation of the problem, you're not ready for the solution. You want to jump right over there to the solution. Take me there to the solution. I'll know it when I see it. No, you won't. No, you won't. Start over here with non-thought and feel the satisfaction of this one. And then get ready for this one. And then get ready for this one. And then before you know it, it's not just thoughts. It's impulses to move. It's impulses to contact. It's impulses to rendezvous. It's impulses. Your thoughts are turning to things called action. Your thoughts are calling to things like meeting with other people. You see what we're getting at? It's just this evolution of you being guided from the inside out. And where's your inner being getting the information to which it is wanting to guide you? From your vortex. And how did that stuff get into the vortex? You explored enough contrast to put it there. Do you see why you can't get it wrong? And why you never get it done? And aren't you sort of kind of ready to begin to cash in your vibrational chips? Don't you realize how much you've done and how much is there? And aren't you willing to just relax for a little while and get ready to be ready? And to recognize that you're ready? And not need to talk to anybody about it. You don't need to write a book about it today. You don't need to make a big hoopla about it. Oh, I had this insight and I must share it with you. They're not ready. No one's ever ready for your insight. Nobody's ever ready for your insight. And so you're always going to be misunderstood. And if you need to be understood in order to feel good, you're screwed. You are.
I've heard you say many times that we have the energy to create worlds, but we haven't been able to drum up enough vibration or energy to launch that.
It isn't really that way. There's enough in your vortex to keep you busy for a very long time. And you have the ability to flow through your consciousness, through your fingertips, so to speak, through your thought fingertips, the energy that creates worlds toward anything that is important to you. But you didn't come into this physical experience, none of us did, to create all these worlds all at once. It's this incremental, satisfying.
Pretty cool though, right? Like to be able to have that much energy and vibration to think that you could do that.
We agree.
So maybe that's the whole idea here, right?
That
to think that you have that much ability and power to have that energy, to be able to flow it to things that are consistent enough to bring you enough joy into your life, whether that's relationships, money. Gosh, I have this weird vibration about money that keeps popping up that I have.
Before you go there, we want to say precisely what you said was exactly right. That is the point of this dialogue, and it really is the point of your being here in this physical experience.
It's realizing how powerful your inner being can be.
When you feel invincible, when you know in a moment, you don't have to know it in every moment, just in a moment when you know that you could be or do or have anything that you choose, that's what we're reaching for, you reaching for. Because in that moment, that means there's no resistance. And if you could isolate a little better, an idea of what you want a little better, not being so vague that it's create worlds, but isolate a little more specific, something that you care about, and then you could knowingly achieve resonance with it so that you know it, and then you witness it coming into being, then you've got it. And of course you've done that, but then the next part of your statement, what you were about to say to us when we interrupted you, is what keeps that from being a steady thing. When you start to explain,
gosh, I'm so sick of explaining shit.
Well, you know, part of that's because you hang around with other humans. You demand from each other, why did you do that? Or why do you feel this way? Because most people are feeling insecure about where they are, and they think, in a flawed premise way, that they're going to get more reassurance about who they are by finding resonance with other humans. But what they pick up from other humans is more insecurity. You get your resonance and your power from your alignment with Source. And the other humans really are just here. Drum roll, please. The other humans are just here to help you in contrasting ways to put things into your vortex. The people you hang around with are not here to provide the solution for you. They are here to stir up your asking. All the Source energy is what you're reaching for. If people knew that, then they would get along so much better with each other. They would appreciate the contrast that they bring to one another, and they wouldn't feel disappointed that they never get an answer, and they would no longer be tired of trying to explain things to people. In the first segment, we had nearly complete at the beginning, and absolutely complete by the end of the conversation, resonance with our friend.
I felt it.
So that sort of resonance is communication that is so satisfying. It was satisfying, wasn't it? Satisfying. But when you are trying to get resonance with someone who's on a different vibrational wavelength, there aren't enough words in the world. You are not going to achieve resonance with them unless, and this is why you're so sick of it, unless you lower your vibration to find resonance with where they are. And then they don't understand you, you just understand them. You know it completely because you're feeling it with everything that you are. And then you say, and I hate you.
I don't know if I say that.
We're just saying.
I might say that to myself.
Well, what you're saying is, you said as much. Your words were, I'm so something sick of trying to explain things to other people. And that's why. Because for for me to explain things to other people, we have to have resonance. And since most of them are not ready to join me in harmony with Source, then if I want resonance with them, then somebody's going to have to do some adjusting. And every time I do, I resent it.
Picking up what you're throwing down here, eh?
So now what?
This whole idea of resistance and contrast, or talking with our one friend here, I thought it was very interesting that you skipped the entire monologue here and
That's because that was better.
That was a lot better.
Because the whole point of the beginning is to bring you into vibrational alignment with us. That's the whole point of the words that we say. We're wanting to get you to hook in to the vibration of who you really are. And so that's the whole point of that. And we accomplished it together.
Yeah. Gosh. I had this idea in my head what I was going to ask you. And it was about that jumping timelines thing, and it's completely irrelevant now. I don't even care.
Because what you just discovered is how, in a moment in time, when there is complete resonance with Source, everything that was your past changes.
Was my past, or is it here, right here in the present?
Well, it's all here right now, but you consider it to be your past. From your now, you say, that was past, and that was then, and this is now, and that is future. But you're doing it all from right here and now. So when, in a moment in time, you accomplish complete resonance with who you really are and all that you know, then your perspective of everything that you've lived shifts to the perspective that your inner being holds.
Say that again. No, did you guys hear that?
Some did and some didn't, so let's go for it again. So when you're standing in your now, where all of your power is, and you care about complete resonance with your inner being. So you've done whatever it took, you've quieted your mind, or you've had a conversation or whatever, but you've accomplished this resonance, as we keep doing here, don't we? So you find that resonance with your inner being. Now, in your now, when you consider the past, you're doing it from now. When you consider now, you're doing it from now. When you're considering the future, you're doing it from now. Think about, if in this now, you have complete resonance with Source energy, that means you're now seeing your past through the eyes of Source. And past was only perceived when you were living it, and it's really only perceived from your now as you're thinking about it. So can you imagine the benefit of holding vibrational resonance with your Source, and now everything in your past is different? So talk about getting rid of resistance in one fell swoop. Talk about really releasing a lot of resistance in a very easy way. A lot different than trying to explain it to those that you lived your past with. And have you ever had an experience where you're talking to someone, maybe a childhood friend or maybe a sibling or a parent, someone you knew back then, and you're talking about what you think is the same event, but you've got two completely different renditions of what happened, because everything is perceptual. And your perception, here's what we're coming full circle about, your perception is all and only about the degree of alignment you have with your Source energy or not. If you're not in alignment with Source, you feel like a victim and they were all really bad to you. But if you're in alignment with Source and you feel invincible, then they all really helped you out and you love them for everything that happened. Right now, to be in a receptive mode of all that you've become. So we want to explain to you what the actual physics of vibration becoming reality is. How do thoughts turn to things? How do vibrations turn to thoughts, and how do thoughts turn to things? How does this time-space reality evolve as it does? If it is a vibrational reality, Abraham, then how is it that smell it, taste it, touch it. Because your eyes translate. Your eyes are vibrational translators. So is your nose and your fingertips, your tongue and your ears. You are translating the vibration. So here's this vibration. And let's say that it is your inner being, source, God, call it whatever you want. It's the non-physical version of you. It's a non-physical point of view of you. It's a non-physical knowledge of who you are. It's a non-physical knowledge of the expanded version of you. It's a vibrational consciousness that knows. It is knowing. It is all-knowing. It is a vibrational consciousness of knowing. And it's vibrating here. Now, are you seeing it? No. Are you hearing it? No. Are you smelling it? No. Tasting it? No. Touching it? No. It's a vibrational version that you could do all of those things with. You're just not yet. You're just not yet. When Source puts consciousness in the rose, you can smell it. In other words, all of that consciousness is being experienced by you in so many different ways. But this is a new thought. This is a new thought about you. This is a new thought about you that you just launched because of something that you live. And you're not ready to receive it vibrationally, but it's there. It's there. So now we have a really important question for you. If a tree falls in the forest, and there's no one there to hear it, did it make a sound? And the answer to that question is no. Because sound is a word that is applied when something that is physical translates a vibration into something meaningful. And if there were no ears there to do the translation, then there could not have been sound. There could have been vibration, but no sound. The sound happens in the receiving mode. Are you getting what we're saying here? So here's this consciousness. Here's consciousness knowing about you, all knowing about you, offering a vibration. And it fell over in the forest. Did you hear it? So when you are in the receiving mode, let's say that you woke up happy today, and you didn't do anything to change that. You didn't remember yesterday yet. So there you are, offering a vibration, feeling good, maybe meditated, feeling good. So there's nothing happening in your vibration that is resisting this vibration of Source consciousness. So now you are in the receiving mode, and you think a thought. You say, oh man, I just got the best idea. And with that idea comes an emotion of elation, an emotion of clarity. That's the first step in vibration turning to thought. In other words, this is the beginning of the translation of vibration into something. This is the gap that we're wanting you to consciously begin to close. Now, if you're in a bad mood, if someone mistreated you and you're thinking about it, you woke up thinking about it, if you've already written an email about it, if you've been on the phone talking to your best friend about it, if you wrote it in your diary, in other words, if you've been thinking about it, if you've been thinking about that injustice that happened yesterday, and now you're off on a tangent, yeah, that's not the first person who's done that to me, won't be the last. And so you're down the road on all that vibration, then you're nowhere near the vibrational signal of this pure positive energy of the Source within you, so you're not getting any of that reception. The reception that you're getting is of a different nature. It's a spin off of man's conscious law. See what we're getting at? So, as we're moving forward here today, we want to show you how you can live happily ever after. We want you to make peace with contrast. We want you to understand that contrast matters, that contrast and variety are necessary for you to focus your desires into being. We just think it would be such a wonderful idea for you and such a good experience for you if once you launch those rockets of desire and you have, your vortex is so full it would take you 20 or 30 lifetimes to realize it all. It would be such a good idea if you could understand the laws of the universe and understand the progress that you've already made and understand the 1, 2, 3-step process of creation. Step 1 is contrast causes you to ask, and you've been doing it for a long time, and you're still doing it all day, every day. Step 2, Source receives the requests that you have asked and becomes the vibrational embodiment of them, and never ceases offering these signals about out all of that, which equals your path of least resistance, which is step 3. Are you allowing yourself to go, or are you arguing with your limitations? Are you allowing yourself to go, or are you explaining what is instead? Are you allowing yourself to go, or are you defending why you haven't been going, or explaining how many other people are standing in the same spot with you and they're not able to go either? So as we're moving forward today, it's our desire to help you to sort of loosen up and let go of those patterns of thought. We would never ask to stop thinking the thoughts you're thinking. It's not even vibrationally possible, because law of attraction is bringing to you plenty of evidence and support for the beliefs you hold. That's why you keep believing them. You believe it, and so law of attraction gives you more of it, because law of attraction says that which is like it to itself is wrong. That's what it would say to us, especially in the beginning. But everything's true. We said, what's that got to do with anything? There are a lot of things that you don't want that are true. Don't focus upon them. This is an inclusion-based universe. When you look at wanted and say yes to it, you include it. When you look at unwanted and shout no at it, you include it. You can't turn it off with no. You can only turn it off by saying yes to something else. You can only turn off what you don't want by giving your attention to what you do want. So we know it takes some adjustment, it takes some reorientation, it takes some caring about how you feel, it takes some understanding about the laws of the universe. It takes, in many cases, some faith, some willingness to believe something that you can't actually prove to yourself this red hot minute, except that law of attraction will give you evidence all day, every day. Focus on something and watch it show up over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. I have these really strong desires. We want to say, well, soften them, or distract yourself from them, or stop making them the big hairy deal that you're making them out to be, and go general. So what is the really strong desire that you have? Just speak one part of it.
Self-confidence.
So go general about that. Self-confidence, be specific. Be specific as you can be in a negative way, just for a moment.
I have self-doubt sometimes, and it holds me back. I criticize. I don't accept myself the way I am. I'm always striving towards that place to be.
You see how he started out, and now he's used the word always, so it's gotten more specific. I always do what?
I have such high standards, and I so want to be this specific being,
that
and I don't allow myself where I am now.
You started to say I always.
I'm not sure where
I always sabotage myself, or I always have self-doubt, or I always. So really specific and really uncomfortable. So
sure.
Go general right now in that subject. I'm not as confident as I'd like to be, but I guess a lot of people are, and I don't have to figure it out all right now, and things are getting sort of kind of better for me. Taken a whole lot longer than I wanted to, but I guess I'll probably make my way along in time, just more general, and things are not really going so bad. There are a lot of things that are pretty good, and there have been a lot of things that I've wanted to accomplish that I have accomplished, and this is sort of the last holdout that I'm really looking forward to releasing. And I can feel that it's sort of a big key for me, so it's going to be really a satisfying sense of relief when I finally let go of it. And I have the sense I don't have to let go of it all at once. It will be a sort of gradual thing. And so I think it's time for me to stop torturing myself about things that aren't happening this red hot minute, and just start appreciating the great life that I do have and the wonderful things that I am uncovering and discovering about myself. And I really like being alive at this time. This is a fun time to be alive. It's fun to know the concept of law of attraction. It's fun to know about my emotional relationship to it. I like knowing that the true presence of who I am is a really good feeling being. And it also is satisfying to me to realize that anytime I don't feel confidence, that I'm feeling doubt in myself, that what that means for sure, is that I'm thinking a thought that my inner being doesn't think. So when I'm thinking I don't have confidence, My inner being's not going there with me, which must mean I have confidence, I'm just not letting in. I love it that my inner being hangs in there tough and sure and true to who I am. And I love the idea of me working my way little by little into more presence of how my inner being feels. And that's what confidence is. That's what the feeling of confidence is. It's that all-knowingness, not necessarily that I have all the answers right now this red hot minute. That's the discussion we had earlier. Because you don't want all the answers this red hot minute. It would be a minefield to try to explore. I don't have to have all the answers this red hot minute, just the one that applies to what I'm doing right now. And I know that my inner being will feed it to me. I know that I'll just rendezvous with it. So next logical step, next logical step. I'm so proud of how I'm doing. I'm so pleased. I'm so full of zest for life. I'm so eager about moving on. I love knowing who I really am and what my inner being really feels. And I don't think it's such a bad thing to know what my inner being feels by me knowing its opposite. That's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. When I feel rotten, that means my inner being feels great. That's worth something, don't you think? In fact, the rottener I feel is a greater indication of how good my inner being feels. Isn't that good to know? Inner being? It's disgusting that you feel that good. Because if you didn't feel that good, I couldn't feel this bad. You need to adjust something. And inner being just stands and smiles, waiting for you to join the confidence and the knowledge. Confidence comes with knowledge. Knowledge comes with presence of source within you.
Yes. And the confidence, I think I may have chosen the wrong word, but that's how I do it very good.
No, you didn't. That's a perfect word.
For me, it's self-criticism. It's like they're not allowing where I am now. Like, it feels like my desire is so strong that where I am now compared to where I want to be.
Feels that my desire is too strong. Let's go back there. I've got such a strongly focused, I have a strong desire that I'm on the flip side of, and I can't get there from there. In other words, my desire is so strong, but I'm not practiced at the other end of it. So every time you say that, you've been saying that a lot. I have a really, really, really strong desire. I have big goals. I have big expectations of myself and of life and of the government and of the economists. I have big expectations, and they and myself are letting us all down. In other words, and we say, go general, go general. It keeps working out. The earth keeps spinning. The sun comes up every morning. The plants keep growing. The water keeps flowing. My heart pumps all through the night without my attention to it. Things are working well. I have big desires, but I have in time the ability to achieve all of them. It's just one step at a time. I don't have to go faster than I can go. When Esther was growing up, she lived in a very small town with 721 people until she left. And she walked everywhere because it was small and the family car was not available to her. And she remembers the feeling of needing to go faster and not being able to. In other words, she could only walk so fast. In other words, she just wanted to teleport herself there. In other words, that feeling of impatience, of not being able to cover a distance any faster. And that a lot of you have those feelings. It's just in the airport, the announcement says, "Thank you for your patience." And Esther always says, "I am not patient." Don't thank me for patience. In other words, we don't want you to acquiesce. We don't want you to give in to that feeling of not enough momentum. And so when you say, "I have big goals," add to that, I have big goals which, like everybody's big goals, are unachievable all at once. It's not ever been my goal to live it all now. It's been my intention as I came forth to savor the unfolding of it. In other words, when somebody hands you an ice cream cone that is the most delicious ice cream that you have ever tasted, you've tasted it all of the flavors from all of the places, and you've identified that this is the one that you like the best. And it's this wonderful day, and it's piled high, and it's in your hand, and you don't say, "I'm going to see how quickly I can eat this." I'm going to see how fast I can bring this ice cream experience to an end. How quickly can I get this over with? Instead, you savor it, don't you? Don't you savor it? Don't you stick it off your arm, up your hair, and the comb?
Absolutely.
And you don't even want any of it to drip on the sidewalk. You try to get it all. In other words,
and that comes back to where I started with. That's the level of presence that I wish to get. And I do have that experience. Just speaking of the rushing and the fast pace and the trying to get to all these things that I want. And so I'm playing that game of balance.
But here's the game we want you to play. Because you've done the vortex work, then there's not a void of good things that are happening. There's a constant unfolding of good things that are happening. Information being given to you, being revealed to you, the path unfolding. And when you are in the process of closing that gap, you don't feel impatience. You feel gratified and worthy and satisfied and eager to watch the unfolding of it. It makes the farness from where you want to be even more delicious, because the journey is satisfying every step of the way. It doesn't matter how far you are from where you want to be, as long as you're moving in the direction of it, there's satisfaction, you see. And most people keep thinking that the satisfaction only comes when you get there. That's flawed. That satisfaction lasts that long. And then you're off saying, is that all there is? Is that all there is? And so the closing of the gap is such a delicious thing as long as you're closing the gap. So we don't want you to be critical of your negative emotion. We just want you to make it more general so that you can begin feeling the momentum of closing the gap. You don't even have to be positive before you start feeling good. Isn't that weird? Because everything's relative. When you were specifically negative, being less specifically negative feels better. And being generally negative feels better still. And then, can't you feel it beginning to build and build and build and build and build? And do you really want to miss any of that? Do you really want to miss any of that? Barbara and Esther were so playful in the airport in Atlanta that they began making friends with all kinds of people who followed them through. It was like they were making a movie together. One family was on the plane, on the tarmac, on the plane when they couldn't operate the jetway, on the plane when the jetway was this far from the ramp, when the jetway was this far from the plane, and they all could have easily leaped across it and made their flights, but they wouldn't let them because there is a federal guideline that says there cannot be a gap. And Esther said, I can't even spit in that hole. It's so narrow. In other words, really, no one could fall through that. Nothing could fall through that. But there is a rule. And so it's as it is unfolding and they are having fun with all of that, the flight attendant said to Barbara and Esther, on about 10 occasions, you're in timeout. Which was her way of saying, I'm really enjoying how much fun you're having in this situation. And then as they were leaving the area, Jerry wrote in his email that he sent to some, an awareness that just came to him recently, that if you will allow it, that all kinds of angelic people will rendezvous with you when you're ready to let it be. That as you share this planet with so many others, that if you will let yourself be in a place of receiving them, that every single one of them has the potential of exerting angelic influence into your experience, of uplifting you. Every single one of them, 100% of them, has the ability if you're in the right place, you see. If you want something and you don't believe it'll ever happen, that desire is painful. I want this thing I believe I cannot have. And if that is the case, then you start drumming up all kinds of excuses, justification and rationalization, and usually blaming of others and yourself about why this thing you want can never be. It's Obama's fault. Or. It's either Obama's or Mama's, usually. That's usually the excuse that most use when they're standing in a place that they have desires, but they can't figure out how those desires will ever come about. And the reason that most have a hard time sometimes believing that a desire that they hold dearly can happen to them is because they are so accustomed to looking at what is. And since what is right now doesn't currently hold the desire that they want, then in their observation of the absence of this desire, they offer a vibration about the opposite of what they want, which gets them all energetically discombobulated. In other words, you've got to be in the receiving mode of your desire, which means you got to believe it. You can't doubt your desire and be in the receiving mode of it. And to be in the receiving mode of it, that means you have to be tuned in, tapped in, turned on, so that when information that is helpful, clues along the trail, so to speak, along your path of least resistance, to help you get from where you are to where you want to be. You have to be in the receiving mode in order to be aware of those ideas and rendezvous and clues that are constantly being shown to you from broader perspectives. The path to what you want, you may not like these words very much. Esther doesn't like them and she's going to say them. Has already been revealed to you. In other words, the path to get you from where you are to where you want to be is already known by non-physical and is already being shined for you. But if you are all balled up in an awareness that it isn't coming, that it hasn't come, that you hardly know anybody who's received it or who's living it, or that it's just not the way it is in your family, or. If you are offering those kinds of thoughts and those kinds of words, then you're not in the receiving mode. And even though good ideas are being offered to you that would take you, in most cases, directly to what you want, or at least on a very good, happily unfolding path to them, you don't pick up on those clues. The other day, Esther had what she considers to be the most remarkable personal experience, showing her how emphatic her beliefs are in what she is able to see. She was sitting at her dressing table and she had her makeup spread out all over the place. And she has a powder, it's a loose powder that has a powder puff on it, and the powder is screwed into a little container, and then another lid is screwed on top of that. So she got all ready for the powder, and she picked up the container, and it was only the empty lid. And she thought, oh, where's my powder? So she looked on the dressing table. She was shocked, and she's there by herself. It was a lot easier when Jerry was there. She could blame him for everything that was missing. No one had been in the house except Esther. She still sort of wanted to blame him. Spook, what did you do with my powder? She could not see it. And so she went to her bedroom and started rifling through her suitcase. She sort of lives out of her suitcase even when she's at home. And then she thought, well, maybe I left it at the San Diego Hotel. And so then she made the bed and did some other things and went back to her dressing table and sat down, and there was the lid and there was the powder. They were not 3 inches apart. They were right there. And at first, she panicked just a little bit because she thought she had lost her mind completely. How can this be? Something that I want, it's right in front of me. How is it even possible that I could not see it? And so later on, as we're chewing with her over some other things, working on a new book, and she's all in the receptive mode, we said to her, you know, you believed that that powder was under that lid. You believed that. That's where it always is. That's where 999 times out of 1,000, that's where you leave it. That's where it is. That's where you believe it to be. So when you picked up the lid and it wasn't where you believed it to be, you couldn't see it where it was. Now, we know that you've had experiences like this. And the important thing that we want to say to you, the law-based, factual, important understanding is, if you have a strong belief about something, the evidence cannot be seen by you. You can't see beyond your beliefs. That's the statement that we're wanting to say to you. You cannot see or receive beyond your belief. So if you have a belief that you cannot do something because you have not yet done it, or you cannot do it because someone told you it's not likely that you can do it, if you've practiced a belief that is one way, even though source energy is sending you endless streams of consciousness and energy and opportunities to discover. So what happens is, we never give up on helping you to know what you need to know in order to receive the desires that you've already set into motion. There will always be another opportunity. Your inner being will guide you on the path of least resistance. And so, since Esther's path of least resistance was not seeing it right where it was, because it wasn't where she expected it to be, the path of least resistance took her to make the bed, took her to do some other things, took her to do some things that got it off her mind, took her away from that active belief that it was lost, and then she could see it. Even though we know it sounds like a really silly, maybe even ridiculous analogy, it speaks so powerfully to why. So often, even though there are things right there for you to see, you can't see them because your beliefs are in the way. So, what do you do about that? How do you get your beliefs out of the way? Well, first we want to say to you, you don't need to worry about getting them out of the way, because your inner being, the source within you, will always find a path to lead them to you. Just now, Esther is ready to go out the door. She'd taken her jewelry off. She'd left it scattered all over the table where the television is. She was all loaded up. She had everything in her purse, water, cough drops in case she coughs, something to wipe her nose. In other words, she was prepared to come. She had her hand on the door, and then she thought, I wonder how my hair looks. So she walked back in, and on her way to the mirror saw that she'd left her jewelry there. Well, now, don't you think that's nice? You see what we're getting at? You are always guided to the path of least resistance. Your inner being is always taking you over here, and then over here, and over here, and over here, and over here. Because you're easy to lead over there. It's easy to get Esther to look in the mirror to see if her hair looks all right. That's one of the easiest things we ever accomplished with Esther. And so what we're wanting to say to you is there is always a path of least resistance. There's always a way to get you in the vicinity of something that you want to know, but you stubbornly are not allowing yourself to know. We just want to say to you, we think you're going about it the longer, harder way. We think that you could lighten up. We think that you could begin bridging some of those beliefs. We think you could begin to do some focus wheels where you begin to make notice of your positive aspects, where you begin to look at things that are working, where you begin to change your negative expectation. When you make a list of positive aspects, things that are working out for me in this way, and this way, and this way, and this way, it softens negative expectations about the things that you believe have not yet worked out for you. You see what we're getting at? You are vibrational beings, and you live in a vibrational universe. And even more important than understanding that, you are an extension of source energy who knows you and loves you and knows where you stand in every moment in time in relationship to what you want, and is guiding you in the way that you can most translate it into something meaningful for you all day, every day. So you come to a gathering like this, and we like that so much because we get to chew with you about the nitty-gritty of your life experience. But what we really want to shine a light on for you is that your life has caused you to ask, and you've launched more than we can count vibrational requests or rockets that have been answered by Source. And they exist in a vibrational reality, not yet manifested in many cases, in a vibrational reality, and the inner being within you knows the logical trail to lead you from where you are to where you want to be on every subject important to you. When you feel that joyous, positive motion, that means that You are within the vibrational vicinity of this powerful attraction. And the sensation to you is that it's like a powerful river that is moving downstream. And if you even stick your toe in it, the river will sweep you with its current toward what you are wanting. And when you understand that everything that you want is within that current and it is moving downstream, and you begin to relax and allow yourself to go with that steady flow, everything that you want will begin showing up in your experience. We see so many of you. You take your raft or your boat down to the river's edge, and you get into the raft, and almost without exception, you turn it upstream and begin paddling very hard. We know it is illogical, isn't it? And we say, why not go with the flow? And our human friends think about it briefly and then say, that just seems lazy. The people who try hard, look at them all. Look how hard they try. And those are the ones who are rewarded. I learned it when I was little. The harder you try, the better things will go for you, and there is no gain without pain. I was told that over and over and over again, and since I want gain, then I want pain. So get out of my way and let me paddle. Look how strong I am becoming. And then they point out to us all the other strong ones that are virtuous and valiant and paddling upstream too. And we listen politely, because we have seen the big picture and we know who you are and we know why you came, and we know that everything that you want is downstream and that nothing that you want is upstream. Without knowing it, most of our human friends have picked up very upstream habits. You've been trained by others who have been paddling upstream very hard. And the art of allowing is about letting go of those oars. And it's easy to let go of the oars when you know that everything that you want is downstream, and when you know that the source energy within you is down there tending what you are wanting. But when you believe that you have to work hard, when you believe that struggle is inherent in achieving, then while we will admit that you can move some physical things around, we have to say to you that creation through action is mediocre at best in terms of the results it brings to you. And that creation through alignment of energy is where all of the masters and all of those that you revere have found their place. You cannot be a magnificent creator without alignment to the energy of the power that creates worlds. And when you hold yourself apart from it, you know it, you feel rotten, and when you find yourself aligning to it, you feel wonderful. Isn't it nice that you were born with a guidance system that lets you easily know from wherever you stand if the thought you are choosing to say right now, if the thought you're thinking, if the words you are speaking, you can tell by the way you feel if it's upstream in nature or downstream in nature. The way you are feeling right now won't tell you the best thought you've ever thought. It will only tell you the directional choice of your thoughts. It will let you know if you're going toward what you want or away from what you want, toward who you really are or away from who you really are. Jerry and Esther went whitewater rafting, and it was such a fun day. And as they put their boat in the water, there were a lot of them that went. 6 of them went together, and several other rafts full of high school wrestlers. And as they put their boat in the water, not one of them even thought about turning the raft upstream. They knew that fast-moving river was going to have its way with them. Nobody even thought about paddling upstream. And the river guide said to them, first thing, friends, this is not Disneyland. We cannot turn this river off. And this is the thing that we most want to say to you. We cannot turn this river off. Further, you're the one who made the river go so fast. You hit the ground running when you were born. You had so much intention. And all day, every day, you're sifting through that data of life and asking. You're the reason the river's moving fast, and you're the reason that you're going with it or not. You have total control in all of this. And nothing that you're doing has anything to do with anybody else or anybody else's river. In other words, stay out of their boat. And don't invite them in your boat. In other words, the only awareness that you need to have, if you want to utilize the guidance system that you were born with, you want to know one thing and one thing only, moment by moment, thought by thought. Is this upstream or downstream? And then the next statement is, how can I make it more downstream? How can I turn this thought and this feeling more downstream? What could I do to stop the resistance? What could I do to reduce the resistance for more? And trying harder is the wrong answer. Trying harder makes the resistance more. It's letting go of the ors that makes it less. It's trusting the process. It's trusting the stream. This is such an important message that a while back we wrote a book and we gave it the best title of any book that's ever been written. Ask and it is given. And we just explained to you how that is so. Life causes you to ask. And Source not only gives it to you, Source literally becomes the vibrational essence of that which you are asking for, and stands in such complete alignment with the ever-expanding version of you, and offers a signal unto the universe that law of attraction is responding to, which creates the sensation within you of a current that is indescribable. And when you allow yourself to move in the direction of that current, you feel wonderful, and when you don't, you don't. We have enjoyed this interaction immensely. There is great love here for you.
It's a scientific fact that the hormones of stress downregulate genes and create disease. Long-term effects. Human beings, because of the size of the neocortex, we can turn on a stress response just by thought alone. We think about our problems and turn on those chemicals. That means then our thoughts could make us sick. So if it's possible that our thoughts could make us sick, is it possible that our thoughts could make us well? The answer is absolutely yes. Hey everybody, welcome to Impact You. Our goal with this show and company is to introduce you to the people and ideas that will help you actually execute on your dreams. Alright, today's guest is a New York Times best-selling author and one of the most sought-after speakers in the world. He's lectured and given advanced workshops in more than 30 countries across 5 continents, all with the aim of helping people better understand and unlock the power of their mind. His expertise is the intersection of the fields of neuroscience, epigenetics, and quantum physics, and he's partnered with other scientists across multiple disciplines to perform extensive research on the effects of meditation, using advanced technologies such as epigenetic testing, brain mapping with EEGs, and gas discharge visualization technology. Through his work, he is endeavoring to help advance both the scientific community and the public at large's understanding of mind-derived health optimization, a topic he covered extensively in his groundbreaking book, You Are the Placebo. His teaching has had such a profound impact on the way that people perceive a wide range of brain-related topics around mindfulness and well-being that he's a faculty member at the Quantum University in Hawaii, the Omega Institute for Holistic Studies in New York, and the Kripalu Center for Yoga and Health in Stockbridge, Massachusetts. He's also an invited chair of the research committee at Life University in Atlanta, as well as a corporate consultant, where he delivers his lectures and workshops for businesses. So please, help me in welcoming the man who has appeared in such films as Heal, People versus the State of Illusion, and Unleashing Creativity, the author of the recent book, Becoming Supernatural, Dr. Joe Dispenza. Thanks for being here. So, diving into your world and how you perceive the sense of self and the way that you marry science to the way that we form memories, the way that we live in a perpetual state of reliving our past and things like that is really, really incredible. And I want to dive into the whole notion of you sort of being a habitual construct. Like, what is that? What is the habit of you? Well, a habit is a redundant set of automatic, unconscious thoughts, behaviors, and emotions that's acquired through repetition. A habit is when you've done something so many times that your body now knows how to do it better than your mind. So you think about it, people wake up in the morning, they begin to think about their problems. Those problems are circuits, memories in the brain. Each one of those memories are connected to people. The brain is a record of the past. The moment they start a new day, they're already thinking in the past. Each one of those memories has an emotion. Emotions are the end product of past experiences. So the moment they recall those memories and the problems, they all of a sudden feel unhappy, they feel sad, they feel pain. Now, how you think and how you feel creates your state of being. So the person's entire state will attract those. What does that mean? That familiar past will sooner or later be predictable future. So, if you believe that your thoughts have something to do with your destiny,
What do we think, guys?
and you can't think greater than how you feel, feelings have to come from thinking. By very definition of emotions, you're thinking in the past. And for the most part, you're going to keep creating the same life. So then people grab their cell phone, they check their WhatsApp, they check their text, they check their emails, they check Facebook, they take a picture of their feet, they post it on Facebook, they tweet something, they do Instagram, they check the news, and now they feel really connected to everything that's known in their life. And then they go through a series of routine behaviors. They get out of bed on the same side, they go to the toilet, they get a cup of coffee, they take a shower, they get dressed, they drive to work the same way, they do the same things, they see the same people, they push the same emotional buttons, and that becomes the routine, and it becomes like a program. So now they've lost their free will to a program, and there's no unseen hand doing it to them. So when it comes time to change, the redundancy of that cycle becomes a subconscious program. So now 95% of who we are by the time we're 35 years old is a memorized set of behaviors, emotional reactions, unconscious habits, hardwired attitudes, beliefs, and perceptions that function like a computer program. So then a person can say with their 5% of their conscious mind, I want to be healthy, I want to be happy, I want to be free. But the body's on a whole different program. So then how do you begin to make those changes? Well, you have to get beyond the analytical mind, because what separates the conscious mind from the subconscious mind is the analytical mind. And that's where meditation comes in, because you teach people through practice how to change their brainwaves, slow them down. And when they do that properly, they do enter the operating system where they can begin to make some really important changes. So most people then wait for crisis or trauma or disease or diagnosis, and they wait for loss, some tragedy to make up their mind to change. And my message is, why wait? And you can learn and change in a state of pain and suffering, or you can learn and change in a state of joy and inspiration. I think right now, the cool thing is that people are waking up.
That's really interesting. And where I found the deepest hooks into how powerful this can be for somebody is when you talk about trauma. You talked about how people experience a traumatic event, but they then basically rehearse it, and how that then has this knock-on effect. So what is that? Why do people find it so hard to get past trauma?
Well, the stronger the emotional reaction you have to some experience in your life, the higher the emotional quotient, the more you pay attention to the cause. The moment the brain puts all of its attention on the cause, it takes a snapshot. That's called a memory. So long-term memories are created from very highly